In this video, I'm going to give you 5 different methods for increasing your print-on-demand sales. And for each of these methods, I will give you a lot of different tips as well as examples to make sure you leave this video with a clear idea of how to start getting more sales. And in case that didn't convince you to carry on watching, then you might well want to know that Milo was one of the main researchers for this video, which gives you the assurance that it's going to be top-notch quality content. So the first method to start increasing your sales is to work on your design quality, especially beginners who are moving into this field and don't have any graphic design background. You are most likely not getting many sales because your designs look bad. I'm sorry to be direct, but in most cases, when you're starting out with stuff, you're going to perform terrible at first. So what can you do to increase your design quality? Now, at first you might think that's going to mean you have to invest in really expensive tools or graphics and whatnot, but improving design quality is not always expensive. You can learn about layout of design, how to lay out your design better, your text, your graphics, and how to use things like color and hierarchy to draw people's attentions to your design more often. And a quick example of this, I'm going to walk you through a sequence of different text-based designs where I've made some changes step after step to make them sort of more appealing or improve them in a certain way. So we're starting off with this one on the left. That is just a very basic phrase. I paused my game to be here. Basically, all the text is in nearly the same font size. It's not very eye-catching. It's not very clear from the start what the design is for when you're just looking at it while scrolling through search results. Going a step further, what I did here is I actually made the words game and here a lot bigger. Now, I mainly want the word game to be big. The idea essentially is that game is one of the main primary keywords right here in this niche with this design. Game, gaming, gamer. So having that a lot bigger is definitely going to help. The reason I made here bigger as well is to stretch the design down a bit and not have it very, very thin at the top. So moving a step further even from that design, I've also added something into the gaps to make the layout more balanced, to give it more of a specific geometric shape. That's another tip I want to give you, because oftentimes I see designs that if you were to draw a line around them, they would look very, very wonky and weirdly shaped. Whereas what I try to do is stick to rectangles or to circles. If you're using any different shapes, you could do like half a rectangle that has a circle end at the top. So there's various design layouts or structures that you can stick to make your designs just easier to process, make them look a lot more professional. The next thing I did was, first of all, change the fonts to give this design a completely different feel. So you can actually use fonts, your font selection, to target different audiences. So in this case, I used quite a bold, chunky font paired with a playful handwritten one, which makes it more appealing to children perhaps. And I've also added a bit of color into there. Now the word game stands out even more because the other color of yellow doesn't have as much contrast on the dark background if you were uploading this to a dark t-shirt. So a few changes right there to completely change the feel of the design and also to once again add some hierarchy with color. And here for the last step, I just want to show you another example of using different fonts to target a different audience group. Here with these distressed fonts with a texture effect, this looks a lot more grown up. It has that retro vintage feel, which would probably be more suitable for an adult gamer, to be honest, or if not, then a teenager. Whereas the previous design with the more playful font, that would be more suitable for younger children rather than adults. So as you can see, you can use fonts right here to actually make your designs target the proper people. Depending on what niche you enter, you might be using the completely wrong fonts. And font pairing is another topic that you could improve on. So in these cases, I've always paired 2 different font types. A few quick tips here. I would not use more than 3 fonts in one singular design. If you add too many different fonts, it kind of gets very confusing and doesn't look very coherent. And if you are looking to pair fonts, I would always, or typically, I would pair fonts from different categories. So you might use a sans serif and a serif font together. You might use a script font and a serif font together. You know, you want to use different groups, because if the fonts look way too similar, that is usually going to look bad in the end as well, and not very professional. And that's exactly what I've done in these examples. I've used a handwritten font with a very geometric bold font, and on the other hand, a script font with a serif font. So there's a few tips right there, and a different color scheme as well in the design at the end that once again highlights the word game, because that is the brightest color on the design. So hierarchy, very important. Make the most important keywords in your design that customers are going to be interested in quite a bit bigger, so they're more obvious, and maybe also adjust the color scheme to put emphasis on those words. Another example I wanted to give you is this Halloween design, which a subscriber submitted to me. By looking at this, you might be able to identify a few things that are wrong with it, especially if you think back of what I just explained to you regarding hierarchy, layout, that sort of stuff. A few issues with this design are that the hierarchy is just not here, that there is no hierarchy. All of the words are pretty much the same size. No objects are really bigger than other objects. There is no contrast between any of the items, to be honest, so it's hard for the eye to find something to focus on very easily. Another thing that's wrong with this design, or that has a bit of a problem, is the color scheme, or the colors, because there is way too many of them. We've got a very bright orange for the pumpkin, and then a very faded orange with the text down below. We've got a green in the cauldrons, we've got purple and pink on the axolotl, we've got brown owls. There's just way too much going on that makes it look kind of messy or cluttered, and makes it harder to process, and once again look less professional. The legibility is also not the best. So legibility means how easy is it to read. So here we've got some fairly thin fonts. The word costume is also sort of arched, which once again makes it harder to read, but especially I'm an axolotl at the bottom. That font with a pattern, whilst it might look nice on your screen if you've got it open in full size, with smaller words and smaller letters, that pattern is going to make your font or your design very hard to read and hurt legibility, which is something that is definitely often overlooked. You don't want to just choose random fonts for the sake of it. If they're not easy to read, then it's way better to use a simple generic font rather than that fancy one that you found. So font selection can often hurt legibility, and it has with this design, and it is also overloaded with lots of different graphics. We've got the owls, we've got bats, we've got spiders, we've got cauldrons. There's so much going on. It sometimes helps taking stuff away to make the design more easy to process for the customer, because you have to remember they are scrolling through hundreds of search results. They don't want to spend ages looking at your design. They want to quickly find something to buy and not waste any time. Now, how might you redesign this to make it look a bit better, or to address some of those issues? I did my best to do that. Now, this is not the greatest design in the world, but it definitely solves some of the problems that we had before. Now, the emphasis is definitely on things such as human costume and axolotl. There is less graphics, so it's not as cluttered, and we've also got a more coherent color scheme. The colors of the pumpkins match with the hat of the axolotl, and some of the text also has the same colors as the axolotl, so there's some balance here, and legibility is a lot better. Now, human costume, the font being used there is not the easiest to read at a small scale, but because the letters are pretty large right here, it shouldn't be a problem, and the white color on a dark background also helps. Now, if you're watching this and you're thinking, I'm no good at actually drawing graphics or creating graphics myself, I can only really do text-based designs, then you are in luck, because there is many different ways out there that you can improve your designs without actually needing to create your own illustrations. So now we've got access to AI tools that can actually help generate amazing looking graphics very easily, and I've got various different tutorials about this. One free option that you could try out is Leonardo AI. They can create amazing looking t-shirt designs, or t-shirt design graphics, I should say. Adding the text is something you would still have to do later on in a different piece of software. But yeah, using Leonardo for graphics, or Midjourney, which is my personal favorite, could help you out in this area. If you don't want to use AI, or you're not happy with the results that you're getting back, there is also other options. For example, there is pre-made graphics. Two websites that I like to recommend are Creative Fabrica, which they have over 2 million pre-made graphics, I think, and a lot of them are very suitable for print on demand. And you can actually join Creative Fabrica for free with my referral link for a month. You can try out for free. There's also Vexels, which I'm a big fan of because they have a team of professional designers, and they also specialize in print on demand. So they've got t-shirts, they've got pillow designs, they've got KDP book covers, like they've got a variety of different topics and categories that you can find print on demand designs within. And I believe Vexels, as this video is going live, I believe they've actually got a big sale going on with about 50 or 55% discount. So I will try and remember to leave a link in the description to that site. If you've ever wanted to sign up to Vexels, then now would be a good time whilst they've got this massive sale going on. I personally use a combination of AI graphics and also pre-made graphics for my own designs, and occasionally I'll also create something from scratch if I prefer that as an option, because you're not always going to get for every single niche a pre-made graphic or a perfect looking AI design. So sometimes I will still create things myself. Now, if you still need some additional help with creating your designs, you're completely new to this topic and you're a bit overwhelmed, then I would recommend 2 playlists for you, which I will also try and link in the description, so you've got everything there for easy access. So the first playlist would be my design tutorials, where I've got various different videos with different design styles, different niches, different color schemes. Like I give you a ton of different tips and my thought process when I create these print on demand designs. Then the second playlist would be my fonts playlist, because in there you will find a lot of free fonts, free for commercial use, that I personally use as well, and some optional paid fonts that look really, really nice and that could help elevate your designs. If you struggle with choosing fonts, then that playlist can give you a lot of insight. I also try and give examples and tips where to use the fonts, so you get some direction in terms of how to use them. So those 2 playlists, if you're struggling with design, are definitely something that are going to help you out. Method number 2 is also related to designs, but in this case, we're talking about the quantity or the amount of designs that you're selling. That is one of the easiest ways to just make it more likely to get more sales, is upload more stuff. And the first angle to this is motivate yourself to create more designs. Maybe set a challenge where today you're going to create 1, tomorrow you're going to create 2 designs, the day after 3, 4, 5, etc. So level up the target every single day. It doesn't have to be by a lot. You don't have to go from 10 designs to 20 in a day, but just keep raising the bar a little bit to progressively overload how many designs you're creating. You will get better in that process as well. Like 2 or 3 weeks, you will be having a way easier time to create designs more quickly if you put in that practice, and you could pump out like 100 designs very easily with this strategy in a month. So definitely test that out. I personally create 20 to 30 designs per evergreen niche that I want to enter. It does definitely work doing that in a single day. It takes a few hours, but it is possible. So that is the first thing you can do, is challenge yourself to just create more designs. Also set a habit tracker on your phone. There's different apps that you can track habits with to sort of motivate yourself further, because you don't want to miss that tracker. You want to get that daily streak going or keep it going. So that is something I would recommend as well. Another way to increase the quantity of designs that you're selling, a lot of people are missing out on, in my opinion, and from what I can tell, is trying out new marketplaces. Because I often hear from beginners, I've got 100 designs on Redbubble and I'm not getting any sales. Well, Redbubble is not the greatest platform anyway. Why don't you try out other marketplaces if Redbubble isn't working? One that I've recently talked about a lot is Tostadora. It is not the biggest one in terms of traffic. A lot of people might be turned off from that, but there is actually very little competition from what I can tell, because the search results for various massive print-on-demand niches are extremely small on Tostadora. I've been selling on there for a couple of years now. I get regular daily sales in a variety of different niches with fairly simple print-on-demand designs, so you can do that as well. I made a tutorial about Tostadora just recently showing you how to get started on there, so that is one suggestion. There is many other platforms, right? There's TeePublic, Amazon Merch if you can get in, Etsy, Displayed as well, Spreadshirt. So just open a new store somewhere and expand by just uploading the same design to another platform. You don't have to create new designs for a new marketplace. One thing that can help you with this is upload automation, and that's how I've been able to publish my designs to over 10 different marketplaces very easily. So if you have money to invest, this is not a necessity by the way, but if you have money to invest, upload automation can help save you a ton of time and quickly increase the quantity of designs that you're selling through different marketplaces. One more tip that I definitely want to give you for this method is to saturate your niches. One thing that people often miss is when they look at the search results of a certain niche, let's say it's got 1,000 search results. If you upload 10 designs to this niche, then you are 1% of the search results, which is very, very small, right? It's hard to get sales that way, hard to get found even if you've got a good title, a good design, etc. What if you just created more designs in that same niche? What if you saturated it, if you fattened it out? If you had 100 designs in this very same niche, you would be 10%. So it is a lot more likely for your designs to be found when someone searches for these specific designs. So especially if you've gotten a few sales before in a specific niche, saturate it. Add more to it, and quite a lot. Like, you don't have to hold back. If you're already getting sales, if you've already got some validation, create similar designs to the ones that have sold, but also some new ones that have got a new spin, maybe a new cross niching idea, or that are just targeting a different specific group within that niche. And lastly, another one of my favorite ways to create more designs and increase the quantity of designs that you're selling is scalable designs. Now, this is a method I've mentioned a few times in the past. I've made a few videos about it. The most recent one is called Endless Evergreen Niches, I believe, where I'm literally creating hundreds of designs in just 10-20 minutes. It can be that quick. That doesn't mean that they're all really terrible. Like, they can look really, really good, even though they've not taken very long to create. So scalable designs are a good way to just add to your portfolio very, very easily. You can do that with Adobe Illustrator. You can do it with Automate POD. And I believe Canva might have a function for this as well. But if you want to learn, in my opinion, the best method to do it, then go check out my Adobe Illustrator tutorial, which I mentioned about the endless evergreen niches. Method number 3 is your listing SEO, and especially if you're new to print on demand, you need to spend time improving your skills here, because this is the way you get found. If you have the best design in the world, in the best niche in the world, but your title and your description just sucks, then nobody's going to find you. It doesn't matter how good you are at research or design if your SEO is off. On the contrary, like, if you have really good SEO and a really good niche but a bad design, you could still pick up some sales. Like, just so you know, there's some really terrible designs out there that do get sales. And a few things with SEO that I wanted to tell you here is that, first of all, you need to avoid using a lot of filler words in your sentences. So I've got an example right here. Whoever you're getting this for will absolutely love this stunning design as a perfect outfit. Stuff like this, just to make your description longer. You can obviously have some bit of sentences, that's good, but in this case, the only keyword that someone might look for in this phrase is outfit, you know, like Halloween outfit. But besides that, all of the other words are completely pointless and will just get you indexed on various search phrases that are not going to help your design be sold. So that's the first point. Avoid irrelevant keywords and irrelevant filler words. You can say stuff such as a design for men and women, or a great gift. A gift isn't allowed on Amazon, but on other websites. So you can still form phrases with some words that are relevant, but don't just fill the entire listing with it. That's pointless. Next up, I've got a design example right here with a cactus on it. When you think of the cactus niche, just think to yourself in your head, which keywords could I put into the listing here? I think many of you would probably be able to come up with a few here, like 3 or 4, like plants, gardening, maybe cacti, you know, the plural. So you can think of a few things off the top of your head, but oftentimes if you just took a few minutes and used a tool for keyword research or tag generators, then you would get way more ideas than you would get on your own. So what I found for cactus, we've got plant, flower, cacti. Those are fairly obvious. Then we've got garden and gardening, botanical, right? Succulent, nature, botany, plant mum. So now we're getting into longer keywords, like long tail keywords with multiple words in one. Those are really important as well. So plant mum, someone might be looking for a gift for a plant mum, and a cactus design could suit here. So besides that, I could also see keywords like gift for cactus lover working. That is a common thing that people might type in related to whatever gift they want to buy. They would put gift for X lover, right? So that's a long tail keyword again that you could try here. Or funny cactus shirt, right? You can add the word funny into these as well, because that is again a very popular thing in most niches out there, is that people are looking for funny gifts or funny designs. So if you're not sure how to find keywords and get more ideas, a few sites that I often recommend are, first of all, the Redbubble tag generator by Merge Titans. It is completely free and it will be linked in the description as well. Then AMZ Suggestion Expander is a good one for Amazon Merch, because if you type in a primary keyword into the search mask while having this Chrome extension installed, then you're going to get a ton of different suggestions of things that customers are actually typing into the Amazon search mask. So that's the sort of stuff you would ideally want to have in your listing if it is relevant. If it's completely irrelevant, then don't even add it. It's pointless. Also, you can look through reviews. Sometimes people, when they leave a review on like a best-selling item within your niche, they will first of all say who they bought it for. So the target audience, that's a good way to fill out your listing as well, with various different things like dad, husband, grandpa, whoever the design might appeal to. So that's what you can find in reviews. And also sometimes people say, my husband really liked this shirt, he's also into XYZ. So you might get some additional niche ideas or keyword ideas to add to your listing. Again, like reviews, it's hit and miss. You're not always going to find very valuable information. Sometimes people just talk about the sizing, but occasionally you will get some really interesting keyword ideas right here. Then if anyone's interested in a paid tool for Etsy, which you can get a free trial for, I would suggest testing out Everbee, because on there you can actually search for keywords and it will give you a lot of related keywords that are on Etsy and getting search volume. It will tell you how much search volume each keyword is getting. So that once again will definitely help you make more informed decisions when it comes to creating a listing SEO, because you can use some of the keywords with the highest search volume to help you get found. And by the way, I almost forgot, I think Flying Research also has a new feature where you can actually also get keywords on Amazon for Merch by Amazon t-shirts and see the search volume on a monthly basis that is associated with those specific keywords. So if you're an Amazon seller, then that might be more useful than Everbee, which is Etsy specific. And if you're still unsure how to actually go from an empty listing to one that is populated with lots of relevant keywords, I would suggest checking out my Amazon Merch listing and SEO guide, where I show you various different tips for finding keywords, and I also show you an example of me writing a listing for an Amazon Merch design. So the next method of increasing your sales is to just pick better niches and do more niche research. This is one that a lot of people struggle with. It is, for most, I think, quite a boring and annoying topic and annoying task to do. However, it is super vital, and I always see people make this mistake that they enter highly competitive niches and then they're surprised that they're not getting any sales. So first of all, we need to understand what we're actually looking for when we're doing niche research. And in order to illustrate this, I created the fishing lake analogy. So the way this analogy works is we've got three different things right here. We've got a lake, that is essentially the niche or the search term. Then we've got the fish, and this is the potential or the customers, the amount of customers in this niche. And on Amazon, that would be represented with the amount of shirts that have a really good or decent BSR. Lastly, we've got the fisher, and this essentially is the competition within the niche, and that is represented by the amount of search results. And whilst doing niche research, you will typically find 4 different types of niches. You will find the worst niche or the worst lake, where there is a ton of competition, lots of different fishermen, and the lake is fairly empty. There's not many fish, not a lot of good BSRs, not a lot of customers. When I say good BSRs, I'm thinking about 500,000 or anything below that. Anything below 1 million really is a decent BSR. Everything above 1 million is quite a slow seller for the most case. Then we've got the not so great niche, and this is one that I, once again, in most cases wouldn't target. It has got a lot of competition, but it also has a lot of fish. So this might be the nursing niche, right? There's a lot of people looking for nursing designs. You will see a lot of good BSRs, but there's also a lot of fishermen, a lot of competition, massive search results. Therefore, it is not a great niche to enter. Not the worst. You can get sales, of course, but it is not great. And then we've got the good niche or the good lake, where there is barely any competition, not many fishes around, so the search results are low, maybe 500 search results, 300 search results. The downside is that there's not many fish either. So there's not a lot of designs that have a good BSR. You might see the odd one with a 500k BSR, but most of the t-shirts are doing pretty badly. And therefore there's not a lot of potential, not a lot of customers here. So these niches are good. You can still get sales in them. You just can't expect to get a ton of sales, like 10 sales a day, 20 sales a day. You will occasionally get some trickle in because there is very little competition if you enter these niches. So they are good, but they're not the greatest. The greatest niches, or the perfect niche, would be one where there is lots and lots of customers and very little competition. That is the ideal that we're working towards. That is hard to find, but if you just try and get close to that, you enter some good niches, the occasional niche that's not great, you might at some point find niches that are perfect for you. And that means essentially translating it into the real world, very low search results, let's say below 1,000 search results on Amazon. You're seeing a lot of designs that are getting a great BSR, meaning 500K or less. That's it basically. So low competition, low BSRs. That's the sort of perfect niche that you want to find. It is rare, and don't worry if you don't find one every day. I don't either. I'm sure most people don't. They are rare, but you occasionally stumble upon them, and meanwhile just enter everything that gets as close to that as possible. I do have a video going into how I personally validate niches and showing you some more like real life examples where I'm checking different niches and seeing if they're worth entering. I would recommend to you checking out that specific video if this is something that you struggle with. Another recommendation I want to make to you here is actually Adam Young's channel called Side Hustles Simplified, where he actually talks a lot about finding niches and small niches, and he has some different strategies, suggestions for this. For example, sub-niching, cross-niching, which are two ways to help you find lower competition niches that still have demand. An example of this would be if you're entering the nursing niche, you might look at different types of nurses, right? There is a lot of different types. Then you search on Amazon for that specific nurse and you see if you can find some search terms that have lower competition. And if you don't, you can even sub-niche further, cross that specific nurse with the word coffee. So this is cross-niching now. There is going to be a lot of specific nurses. I don't know a name of one, sorry. Specific nurse likes coffee. So mix the two topics in a design and your search results once again will go down and you will have a less competitive time whilst there's still demand. So those are two techniques of finding low competition niches. Sub-niching at first and then cross-niching is another option. Another tip I wanted to give you in terms of niche research: if you keep getting stuck, you feel like you're spending hours doing this and you never find any niches, just try a different tool. There is a lot of free options out there. I've got a playlist on niche research that shows you various different free options. It also shows you paid tools, of course, but you don't have to use paid tools. If you're getting stuck all the time, maybe it's just the tool you're using. Maybe you just don't get on well with it. There is probably an alternative out there that's going to make your life a lot easier and help you find new niches. Method number 5 of increasing your print-on-demand sales is to focus more on marketing. This is, to be honest, an area that I've never spent too much energy with, except for Amazon ads perhaps. I do spend a lot of money on Amazon ads. However, this is definitely something that helps out a ton of people out there. So your first option would be social media, right? You could freely advertise your designs through social media. It just takes time to build a following, unfortunately. Now, one alternative would be Pinterest. There you can just share pins of your designs and they often get pushed quite organically without you having like a massive page, and that's also very low effort content. Now, if you're looking to build a Facebook page or an Instagram site where you eventually sort of promote your product, what I would recommend is do it entertainment based. The content should be something that people are entertained by and not just you posting t-shirt designs and linking back to them, because that's not going to give you any traction. Because if you think about people that are on social media, that are scrolling through it, they want to see some funny videos. They want to see, I don't know, dog fails, cat fails. They want to see something that makes them laugh in most cases, not an ad. That's not what people want to see in social media. So think long term to build a page with funny videos in a specific niche or just content that could go viral, right? And that has that potential. Focus on a specific niche, build up a page over time, and then you can link back to your store or to specific t-shirt listings in your bio, in your story. You could link back to it underneath your posts, perhaps. So that is stuff that I would do. I think on Facebook and Instagram, yeah, you can also set up a store page on there. I think you would have to run that through something like Shopify. So it is an option. Someone who knows a lot more about this is Shimmy Morris. He's got a YouTube channel as well about print on demand. I had him on my podcast recently, and he knows a lot more about marketing your print on demand stuff. So go to his channel if that's something you're interested in. In terms of Amazon ads, if you are selling on Merch by Amazon or Amazon Seller Central, one thing that I would recommend to you here is, once again, think long term. You might be losing money if you're starting out and you're getting used to it. You might lose $10, $20, $30 on some designs and be really frustrated, but you have to think long term. I will give you an example. One of my designs that I've been pushing with ads for probably a year or over a year now, I've got multiple campaigns for it, some auto campaigns, some manual campaigns that are targeting specific search terms or specific products. I've spent a lot of money on these ads, right? And I have had phases where it was not doing very well. It had a high ACoS. The point I've gotten to now with this design is it's got a lot of reviews. I think it's got a 4.8 average or 4.9. When I say a lot of reviews, it doesn't have thousands, but it has got, I think, close to 100. This design now is often making me between $50 and $100 per day, even though I'm spending just $10 on ads perhaps per day for this design. So that is where you can get to if you actually put in the time and effort with your ads, keep optimizing them, keep moving sort of search terms from an auto campaign into a manual campaign and sort of adjust the bids there. Obviously, you would have to have a niche right here that actually has demand. Thinking back to a fishing lake analogy, you're not going to have this with a niche where there's very little fish, right? Very little shirts with a low BSRs. You're not going to suddenly create a bestseller in this niche just by running a lot of ads to them. So you have to have the niche validated beforehand, and you have to have some proof that sales can be quite high here. So that would be t-shirt designs to have a 100k BSR or 200k BSR. That means you can reach 10 sales a day with your designs, perhaps. Another option would be blogging. This is also what people do to promote their t-shirts. It is opening a blog or writing blog articles that are, once again, niche specific. You don't want to write about everything in the world. You might write about a specific dog breed, for example, and then at the end of the article, link back to a t-shirt design of that dog breed. And this is, once again, something that Adam Young talked about in the podcast that I had him on my channel. So here's a quick clip of him talking about blogging to increase your print on demand sales.
I'll give you an example. Like, say if I had a website about pets and it was about terrier dogs, the terrier dog breed, right? Yeah. So I've got articles all about terrier dog breeds, toys and what they eat and questions people ask, and I'm building an audience or a targeted audience of their terrier dog owners. Well, then I might create a print on demand shirt through merch that says, Terrier Mama or Terrier Daddy, and it's got a Yorkshire Terrier on it. And I could put that on my website, and then it doesn't cost me anything. But I have somebody who's already interested in terriers, right? Because they're on my site, and they might be a terrier owner. And then they see that and they say, oh, wow, that's adorable. They click it. They have the trust of Amazon, right? Because everybody trusts Amazon. It takes them to that Amazon listing and they buy a shirt.
Even though I discussed a ton of different topics in this video, there's still a lot of different tips that I've got to help you increase your sales. And one of the best videos I can point you to right here that you definitely don't want to miss is this one, which has got 22 different lessons to help you boost your print on demand sales.